Thanks indeed for staying with us. The program is still this morning on ITV. It's now time for us to talk aviation. For those of you who are regular air travelers, one program you cannot miss is aviation update. When we look at aviation, we look at the sector holistically. Sometimes when Anchorman talked about the plane, talk about the runway, talk about the airport, and series of other topics within the aviation sector, I want to just feel like flying, even if you are not having the fun to so do. My name is Ikaroata, and it's with me to talk about it this morning is our regular anchor, Mr. Godwin Ike. You welcome to our studios.
Hi, Ata, good morning.
A very wonderful morning, sir.
You too. How was it?
Well, thank God it was fine.
How was your weekend?
Coming from the weekend is nice. Somewhat. I got a thread from my wife this morning telling me that this morning is school fees Monday. That the kids are going back to school, and I should go as I go to work at the school fees Monday. And I told her, just leave my BP where it is until I come back.
So that's what we're all working for, to have the children properly trained.
Now, this morning, sir, what are we going to be looking at this morning?
Flight delays. We're going to take a little break from daredevil pilots, and we'll deal with flight delays today. It's getting unacceptably high, in Nigeria, and we want to talk about them. And then coming week, we'll take a look at events at the 59th ACI, that is Airport Council International.
We'll talk about that briefly before we end the program.
Yes, and so that's it. After today and the next Monday, we'll continue with the series on daredevil pilots.
Now, quickly, let's go to flight delay. If you're watching us, one thing you do not pray for is issue of flight delay here. I know for sure two of those incidents. The one I know I don't like at all. One of them is when I had told my wife that, look, I somehow, maybe not the flight, maybe somewhat, let me call it a flight delay, that I'll be touching down in Abuja at about an hour time from Lagos here, and Madam had been preparing, normally once she target me within 50 minutes, 1 hour, she would get that, okay, yeah, we're already in Abuja. But this one, we had that there was a VIP movement, and we had to stay in the sky for close to about 30 minutes at that time. For sure, Madam had really gone deep in prayer. The second one was one where we had left Yanugua, my cameraman then and I, Zaka Bature, and we rushed to Port Harcourt Airport to catch a flight for 11:30 a.m. and we boarded the flight 11:30 p.m. to Abuja. Go ahead. The flight delay, what's the problem?
Atta, if I tell you that I have all the information about what's going on, I'll be deceiving you and I'll be lying to you. I had also a personal experience just a few days ago when I was heading out to Lagos from Abuja. One of the airlines that were supposed to board at 3:20 never left Abuja until about 9 p.m.
Why?
No special explanation except that, we are sorry, your flight has been delayed for 1 hour, and we waited as it was a few minutes to the deadline. Another, we are sorry, a further delay of 1 hour. It went on 1 hour after the other until it was about 9 p.m. That's when we headed out to Lagos, and of course found ourselves landing in Lagos almost a few minutes to 10 p.m. And by the time one got to one's destination in Lagos, it was close to midnight. So nobody has been able to explain to us what exactly is going on. But my observation was that it will appear that just one or two airlines are giving services right now. The rest of the airlines have virtually disappeared. I mean, I'm talking about the local airlines. And so they appear to be taking on and chewing what they cannot swallow anymore. And so you find a situation where trips are juggled one aircraft, leaves a destination, comes to one, while passengers are waiting, they ask, a set of passengers for a particular destination to go jump into that one, and they move, and they tell you that operating aircraft for this other trip is not yet here, and therefore there will be delay. So, and I noticed that passengers are too disgusted to even utter a word. No one is complaining and grumbling anymore. The attitude is, will they still take us to our destination today? It's not a question of, oh, we have been inconvenienced, oh, we need to apply the Bill of Rights. No, nobody.
They don't know their right in the first place.
I would doubt that 80% of passengers may not know their rights. 80%, I can tell you that. But those who know, for instance, I was in their midst when they kept us for 6 hours. Would you say I didn't know my right?
You do.
Very well. And I sat there like others, like sitting dogs, helpless.
But
I'm waiting to be taken to my destination.
Let's take the flip side here.
Yeah.
If you are to board and you are not at the airport 1 hour before time, if you are lucky, 30 minutes before time, I tell you can't board. We're done with everything. But when it comes to the turn of the airline to delay you, they appear not to even care. But once you falter, they want to cut off your head.
It's a big irony. I will share what you've just said now. Let me use my experience a few days ago, traveling from Abuja to Lagos. I had 1 kilo. They said that I could not do more than 20 kilos of luggage, weight. And when my luggage was weighed, it was found to be 21 kilos. And I was told that the cost of each extra kilo was 500 naira. I thought it was a joke. Before I could say jack, somebody had written an invoice out to me and said, "Okay, go and pay there before you come for your boarding pass." And I had to go and pay 500 naira. Well, guess what? The same airline that charged me 500 naira for the extra kilo I had kept me at the airport for 6 hours without any compensation or any form of refreshment or any move to show that, listen, we know we are responsible for this delay that you've suffered. Isn't that an irony?
That's true.
Big irony. And it smacks of lawlessness. They are now taking advantage of the legal system we have, the attitude, and the fact that because people are wary of taking up, either reporting to NCAA or reporting to the police or, taking a suit in court, and all the stress and all the endless appearances in court and others. So everybody's just
but
disgusted.
Have you also observed, as we talk about flight delay here, that sometimes when the flight is getting delayed, somebody just tell you, once you get angry, you find people crowd, you say, "Oh God, you don't know what God is planning. Just leave it."
The religious part.
You heard that of it. I've heard that severally. Whenever the flight got delayed, and I just go mad and say, "You don't know what God is planning."
Well, really, Atta, we need to do something about the situation we have on our hands in the country. It doesn't make for the economic growth that we are yearning for, and it doesn't encourage, the foreign investors that we are yearning for. We really have to find a way to tidy up this.
But looking at the flight delay, you raised one point here. The point of the fact that we have few aircraft on our local route here, and they cannot carry the entire passengers here. But why don't they tell us the truth? That look, we are overburdened here. That to just keep you, and they announce 1 hour, announce the next 1 hour, announce 2 hours. Once you get so agitated, the staff disappear from the counter. They disappear quickly. Leaving you. Is that the appropriate way here?
No, it's not. It's all part of the lawlessness that we're talking about. If you had a situation or an environment where those airlines will be thoroughly and promptly punished with heavy fines.
Who punishes them?
I mean, you have NCAA that that needs to deal with the issue of safety and passengers rights. You have also the owners of the airport who manage the airport. You have the FAA and FAN, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. Who should also ensure that the right things are going on at the airports. They are there to give services, but the point is, it appears to be some kind of vicious circle, and what's going around, coming around, and there's an endless circle of unacceptable poor services, and we seem to be helpless. I mean, I was there. I was speechless. I couldn't utter a word, and there was no one to talk to, by the way. So I sat there from 3 p.m. to past 9 p.m.
Now, in the case of flight delay, if I will ask you here, what should the passenger be doing here?
Well, ordinarily, under the Bill of Rights, you have certain entitlements. At least they should be able to give you some snacks, some drinks, entertain you, and then if eventually the flight gets cancelled, they're supposed to put you in the hotel and pay you some percentage of the cost of your ticket as compensation for the cancellation. The Bill of Rights is we dealt with it comprehensively on this show, and I would just urge our viewers.
But it's like that bill is just a bill that does not apply on the ground the way it is on paper.
It's just paper tiger. If you ask me, it's worthless. Nobody is doing anything with it at the moment. Nobody is doing anything with it at the moment. I remember once again, that was a flight from Lagos to Abuja about a month and a half ago. One of the airlines, did something I consider to be wrong.
Okay.
And I went up to the NCA office. I met some very smart, agile ladies behind their computer system. I found them quite impressive on that particular day. I think I had discussed this with Joe during one of our programs. And right away, they took all my reports and called up the airport manager of the airline, who also happened to be a lady. And so she ran up there, and then for the next 1.5 hours, she was seated there pleading that I should drop the case, and assuring that those kind of delays and swapping of people's positions and stuff. She gave me all assurances that it would never happen again, that she was going to make sure that they did the right thing all the time.
Is it within her powers?
It wasn't. It was just to get off the hook for the moment. And of course, I let go, and insisted that any other time such a thing ever happened,
press charges.
Yes, I'll press charges. And then she smiled and left. And then, of course, because I wasn't going to press charges, the NCAA, although they had documented in their systems, my report, let things be. But that's how they have been getting away with one or two passengers that would bother to make trouble, and they seem to be, too relaxed. We almost assure us egg in egg that no one will lift a finger. And so the attitude is that of degenerating, lawlessness. It's quite sad.
Is it that like someone once argued, we are not very ripe for the level at which our what do you call it now, our air travel system is going here? Because some countries in the world have more than 700 times or 1,000 times even our air travelers here, and they carry them so quickly, no itch at all, you're just in transit. But here you get to the airport, it's one big whole confusion together.
Yeah, Joe, it's all about. I think the difference here is about number one, training. I think our operators need to have their, staff retrained.
Okay.
Yes, not just training as in sending them anywhere. They are very specialized institutions and bodies around the world. It doesn't have to be training within Nigeria. We can do some in Nigeria, but some also they should be able to send out key staff to places where you have successful airlines to understudy the people and learn how these things are done and how to bridge the time gap and ensure that things happen in the sequence they are set out to happen without any gap. It's one of the ways that you can really change the psyche of the people and change the way people think and behave. Because it's all about attitude, if you ask me. It's not because we don't have the the power or the intelligence to do what is right, but we have an attitude that has not been challenged. You see, if our poor attitude gets challenged, and people know that there will be consequences for doing the wrong thing, the tendency and the likelihood is that people will turn around and begin to learn to do things the right way.
Okay, now we'll come back to that now, but let's take a brief look at the issue of VIP movement and flight delay. Is that right? You just want to go and say, look, you cannot move here. The president is about leaving, and sadly, sometimes the president is just leaving the villa, and everywhere is closed, and you have to wait until 30 minutes, 40 minutes. The president arrive, and at that point, we already have traffic in the air, planes already waiting, and we have planes already on the ground, fully boarded, all waiting. Is that appropriate?
It's not appropriate. The timing should be handled in such a way as to make it minimal. Yes, granted, our Mr. President, needs his security guaranteed, both on ground and in the air. That's no question about it.
Even in some local airports of the country, the president is coming, they shut it down until he leaves. As the president touches down, the ones that are not very busy, the day the president visits the states, no plane comes in, no plane goes out. Is that right? I saw that in one state.
Yeah.
The day the president is to come in, no plane arrives, no plane departs.
My dear, every country has its own way of ensuring that Mr. President and Mr. Vice President are safe, both on ground and in the air. Well, what the slight difference here is that we are not using the communication technology that is available to ensure that the time is limited to precisely when he needs to be guarded.
Okay.
You understand? You just told the story of which is what we've always heard. Mr. President might just be still in the villa, exchanging pleasantries with his ministers and just about leaving, and everywhere is closed, including the airspace. But it should have been that some individual must know exactly when he steps either into his helicopter or into his convoy.
Presidential wing, presidential wing, when he gets there, then you can say, okay, let's take 10 minutes. Let's shut up for 10 minutes. The president is around here.
That's right.
But not when the president is here to leave the villa, everywhere is fully closed.
It's not right. It's about planning. And those involved addressing their minds and understanding that this is also not good for our economy.
But still looking at the flight, we're looking at that from the point of takeoff. Now, what about the point of landing? I told you my experience when I told Madam I will be touching down at exactly 50 minutes to 1 hour. And it crosses that time, no phone call, very extremely unusual. And they said then the former first lady was about to land, and so we had to go there and Kubwa and do Sialaji for a longer. is that right? Because that's also delay, maybe somewhat.
It's all about flight planning. As a matter of fact, it's all about flight planning, and having good coordination. As someone who deserves this kind of protection is about to take off, the flight plans should be done in such a way that the airplanes that are heading towards that same destination should be known. Because before you take off, you must file in your flight plan. Somebody somewhere knows who is taking off from where and who is heading where. They have all this information. Well, if it's coordinated in a manner that keeps only a few flights in the air for the shortest time to allow his or her airplane to come in, touch down, and evacuated, then people start coming in. We shouldn't be spending anything above 10-15 minutes dealing with issues like that. So when you hear that people are up in the air for 30-45 minutes or upwards of an hour, that is unacceptable, and that is a product of not lawlessness this time, but a product of planlessness. That's what it is. If we plan well, we would do things better.
Okay, I don't know. Still on flight delay, I don't know whether you've experienced this before. Someone taking you from Abuja. I know I had that once, and I never knew how it feel. They took me from Abuja to Kano to refuel. They took me from Abuja. I bought a flight to Lagos, and if I had to go to Kano first to take fuel before going to Lagos. Is that
well, it's.
Have you heard that before?
No, not.
I had that before.
Not in recent time. Well, it's either that they have passengers to pick up from.
They told us that they were going to refuel in Kano.
So they didn't pick up. You're saying they didn't pick up passengers there?
But that's the announcement they gave. I cannot remember fully now, but they had to fly us from here straight to Kano.
There's a possibility that they run out of Jet One in Abuja environment, and the nearest airport that had fuel, was Kano. For safety reasons, it makes sense that they went there to get the needed fuel, because remember, at any time you're moving from point A to point B, you must have enough fuel to take you back to point A should you not find the weather condition conducive for landing. You should be able to go back, or at least go to the nearest airport from from there on. And that means you must have enough fuel on board should you run into such an emergency to safely take your passengers to the nearest airport and land. So if by taking off from Abuja, for instance, to Lagos, you don't have that volume of fuel required to ensure safety, but the fuel on board can take you to Kaduna or Kano within the confines of the rules, then it makes sense to do that trip to Kaduna or Kano and top up your fuel. What it then would mean as well is that if you got to Kano and you couldn't land, you had enough fuel to return to Abuja. You see how it works, Atta.
That's correct.
And so, for anything for, if you ask me, anything for safety in aviation, safety is number one, and it's all about safety, and safety. Nothing in between.
But
nothing.
But looking at some experience outside our airport and local traveling here, even local traveling, the ones I've seen outside, they're well organized. You don't even spend up to 10 minutes here. And even the international traveling, when you look at the international airlines, sometimes I told you my experience in Qatar, I felt I should sit down for 5 minutes. Let me just sit down for 5 minutes. I've been connecting flight to Singapore. I was stopping over at Doha. Let me just sit down for 5 minutes. And somebody just tapped me, "Are you Mr. Atta?" I said, "I am." He said, "The plane is full. You are the only one we're waiting for." But But if it is here, I know for sure I'm going to take 5 hours.
As a matter of fact, that's the thing about habits and growing up in a particular environment and suddenly finding yourself elsewhere. If you it hadn't been for what you were used to and what you expected to be, like it would happen here, as soon as you got off the airplane and if you had gone to the information center and taken a look, you would have noticed that your flight was already boarding, because it mentioned that nobody's going to announce anything to you. You just go to the screen and you check out your flight number.
Do have Singapore boarding.
That's correct. And you find out that you say final boarding, and then it will mention the gate. You take your speed and run to your to the gate and board. You won't hear any word from anyone except if like you sat down, relaxed, thinking that you were in Nigeria, for instance, and then they had to announce, Ata Eharo, where are you? If you don't find you in 2 minutes, your luggage will be taken off the airplane, because they will never travel with your luggage in there if you are not boarded. They will have to remove it, and everything is done so nicely and so organized, organized fashion that in 1 second they know where your luggage is. In 1 second, they go straight there and take it out. Compare it to the disorganized way that we do things here. If you were to disembark for the next 1 hour, they won't be able to find your luggage, and so the likelihood is that they are going to travel to the next destination with your luggage, and you start coming behind, and a risk to all the passengers, because you never know why somebody will check in the luggage and don't board. So that's how it works.
But do you see us in the nearest future tackling this problem? Are we ready for it now?
We are always ready and able, but can somebody in a position to enforce this and ensure that it's done push the button? That is a big question. Somebody has got to make that move that will show that this is not acceptable any longer, and that we can't go on this way any longer.
Who would take that? Who will bear the cost?
People are, for instance, we have our honorable minister in place.
Hadi Sirika?
Who was
since that airport upgrade, my brother Hadi Sirika had been very busy. Had been less busy. Less busy. I told him at the villa that honorable minister, since you upgraded the airport, Abuja airport, and you did a very nice runway repair work. Since then, you went so high, and you just came back and took a rest. And he laughed at it.
Maybe this is a call for waking up. It's a wake-up call for him. He has got to wake up so that he doesn't lose the steam, and or he brought to bear in aviation. So he's there. His lieutenants, in terms of those who are in charge of NCA, they are there. And you see, once you have this pressure mounted from top, insisting that things must be done right, the natural thing is that others will follow.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's what I expect them to do.
Okay, let's pray we get that very quickly. If you're joining us, the program is still Aviation Update. We've been discussing with Mr. Godike, and this has been a very wonderful morning here, looking at flight delays. Some of you may just be willing to fly this morning. Abuja, Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Okay, Benin is sometimes morning, afternoon, yeah, sometimes. Fly Abuja, Kanu, and wherever you're flying from. No one expects any flight delay, but somehow we've learned that here. If you have any schedule, any program, please ensure you get there a day before, and don't just trust the airline so that you will be catching the flight very, very quickly. Okay, let's look at the airport council international, the one you had in Lagos from on the 16th to on the 18th of this month. I think within last week here. What was that gathering about?
It was very thrilling and a very big opportunity for me to have courtesy of Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria FAN.
Right.
I must thank them very much for considering me worthy of being invited and sponsored to that particular program. and I'm very happy. There was a lot to learn how airports can, can be better managed, and how airports can be, organized and arranged in such a way that economic activities will add up to the GDP of the country. They were sharing all sorts of beautiful ideas about the new way to arrange our airports, the businesses that could run outside the core business of airports, which is airplanes taking off and landing and bringing passengers. Well, there, the whole lot of. I think in coming week, I'm going to draw up a summary of some of the suggestions made, and then give them a free.
When we look at this, I know our program, our time is almost up here. Yes. But the fundamental one is the shock I got sometimes, particularly when I took time to study the Oliver Tambo Airport. Sometimes when I'm in transit there to Brazil, to Cape Town, so you discover that the airport is a busy shopping plaza.
That's right.
It's not one airport, empty,
right.
dry looking.
It's
a real big. You got boutique. You can buy everything you want to buy right there at the airport, duty free, a sweet place. But our airports here,
that's what they came to teach us. As a matter of fact, it was thrilling to listen to a lot of very young experts that came from all over the world to share ideas. I'm going to offer my viewers opportunity of having bits and pieces of some of the information they shared with us and the originals.
But is government learning from those ideas? Are we buying them? Are we implementing them? Or are we just conferencing only to conference and end?
I must tell you that I was quite impressed at the managing director and some of the of FAN and some of the his directors who were in attendance, both women and men and women. They were all there, and unlike the past, when government officials will come in as soon as the opening ceremony, they all disappear and everybody. No. I was sitting right behind the managing director, even during coffee break. That man didn't get off the seat. He sat down there all through the program, and it was quite impressive. And that's kudos to the managing director of FAN.
Thank you very much. Let's hope we could get that, because once you have a very sweet airport, you can. I having come from Cape Town, he told me that look, we have a 4-hour flight period. From arrival to departure, and I think 4 hours is one long time. But with the market nature or the supermarket nature of the airport, everyone was busy shopping, eating, playing. The 4 hours finished, and we are all dragged to the place. Thanks a lot for coming. I wish you a very working. It's still this morning on ITV, a wonderful time there. Let's just pray as Mr. Gordon Ike explained. We don't go through that problem of flight delay, but he got a bumper one from you for you coming up next week. Airport at Council International. So much for you to learn. So much if you want to understand how the airport and how the aviation sector works. Please join us again next week Monday at 8 a.m. We'll be talking aviation now. But now we take a break. When we return from the break, the program this morning on ITV would continue.